Jake, we good?
Let's go.
Let's rock and roll. Phil, welcome to the Your PT podcast.
Thank you, James. It's nice to be here.
Well, great. It's a pleasure to host you, and I know you've come quite some distance today to get to Swansea.
Yeah, I looked in the map. It would take 5 days if I was walking.
Didn't fancy
but
that.
I didn't. I flew to Bristol and then manoeuvred from Bristol along the M4, and yeah, it was easy.
Yeah, fantastic.
Swansea is a place I've never been.
Okay.
So, virgin at this.
Yeah, well,
virgin at podcasting.
Planes, trains, and automobiles
Absolutely.
to get you. But
we're here.
Listen, we've known each other for a little while, Phil, and I think you're going to bring a lot of value to the podcast today. You know, these are aimed at fitness professionals within our sector. Whether you've been around for a while in health and fitness, or if you're just getting started, we really pride ourselves with the RPT pod of putting authentic representatives in front of our audience.
Yeah.
And you bring experience in abundance. So we're going to tap into that today for sure.
I've been around the block a few times, yeah.
And still fighting the battle as well, Phil. So today we're obviously going to talk about your business, which is Shifting Diabetes. But before we dive into that and talk about diabetes from a broad perspective, it'd be great for the listeners just to learn a little bit about you and your background.
Okay. Obviously, the dulcet tones are from Northern Ireland. Arrived in Edinburgh 36 years ago as a semi-professional virgin rugby player, verging on that. It was the cusp of amateur professional.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a story. So I got diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis and had to stop playing rugby. But I was on a really cool pathway. I was selected for Ulster trial, senior Ulster trials. So I was up there, but got cut short due to the psoriatic arthritis. And then straight after that, I decided to do my coaching badges for the rugby. So I couldn't actually play, so I started doing the coaching. So I was actually thinking about this in the flight on the way down. I think probably I've been in the coaching, education, training since 1997, 98.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a few years.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's nearly 30 years.
We also had a decent rugby team back then.
You did indeed, yeah. I was actually driving past and looking at Neath and all the old things.
All the old ones, yeah.
Used to see all the old rugby famous clubs. But yeah, I started doing the coaching, and then that led me into doing the personal training.
Yeah.
And then the personal training, as I say, the young guys coming through, and I've had my own academy in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You know, it's about evolution. You've got to keep learning.
Yeah.
As soon as you stop learning in this industry, you become defunct. You actually don't have your value.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to keep learning how to better yourself. How does the human body work? What interests you? And I can guarantee you, 15 years ago, before I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes myself, I had no interest in diabetes. It wasn't on my spectrum.
Yeah.
But I then right, let's get on, do this obesity, diabetes level 4 course to try and learn something about this illness I've been diagnosed with.
Yeah.
And I was never really overweight. It's the effect of the psoriatic arthritis and how it affected my beta cell production into the delivering of the insulin into the body. That's caused me to be type 2 diabetic. I was just literally told, you're a type 2 diabetic, you need to do more physical activity. I had just completed a full Ironman about 3 months prior to that.
Okay,
so I wasn't unfit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got diagnosed. It was all the doctor could say is, we'll give you a dietitian, and we'll give you, and you need to increase your physical activity. So when I told him what I had just completed, he was just like, right, okay. So basically the ball was in my court. So I had to go and learn. So I took myself off, did the level 4. When it was written, it was very valuable because it was based on obesity, which was the crisis, probably about 10 years prior to that. So this is about 25 years since the obesity level 4 was originally written. So there wasn't much about diabetes, because diabetes is an aftermath of obesity.
Yeah.
Right, and I describe diabetes like a tsunami. So obesity is the tsunami that happens under the ocean.
Okay.
Right, that's the earthquake.
Yeah.
That's obesity.
Yeah.
And it's going, nobody can see it because we get used to how our bodies are. There's small changes over periods of time, and all of a sudden you realise you're 20 kilograms too heavy.
Yeah.
Right? You don't notice putting on half a kilogram a month or 2 months, but over the next couple of years, because 80% of obesity will develop type 2 diabetes.
Right, okay.
So what happens is the waves hit the shore. This is diabetes. They start off with little waves. And now there's a constant stream of waves because that obesity is not going away.
Yeah.
So we're continually hitting type 2 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, type 2.
Yeah.
And it's becoming even more prevalent. So back to my experience. So I developed type 2 diabetes, and then I studied a master's degree. I took myself to do a master's degree because I didn't believe I learned enough. Completed that, and now I'm actually in the process of completing my PhD.
Wow.
Which is a bit of a journey itself because it's hard, but it's obviously hard for a reason.
Yeah.
But the actual experience of being a PT, so I've been a PT, again, let's talk about education. I've a TPI qualified, I've got S&C qualifications with World Rugby as a World Rugby educator.
Yeah.
I've got a level 4 in obesity, diabetes, exercise management, lower back care, cancer rehab. I've also got my massage qualifications, level 3 diploma, PT diploma, exercise referral diploma. Maybe I'm a bit of an anomaly, but I think, and I really believe, education is the key to luck. People say, "Oh, you're so lucky." I says, no, I'm not lucky. I work hard. I put myself in the right place, and I gather knowledge to be able to share and help.
Yeah.
My job's to help people.
Absolutely. As an educator, and I suppose the fact that you are a lifelong learner, it makes you very authentic as an educator as well. Because
where I got my real bread and butter learning from, and we all know who the guy is. He was my mentor when I joined Life Fitness and Hammer Strength as a global educator. Part of the Life Fitness Academy team was Mr. Keith Smith. We all know who he is. He's an infectious small character in our industry. But Keith was my mentor, and I learned a lot from him. And being an actual qualified educator makes a huge difference when it comes to actually understanding how you work with people, because we know when we walk into a gym full of personal trainers, they all have their own agenda, they all have their own beliefs, and they all have their own specialities, because we all want to have our little niche in the marketplace. You need to know, as an educator, how can you work with this group of people so that they all leave there with the knowledge that you have to transfer. So I always say, so we've got a criteria, a curriculum that we have to transfer, and it's about understanding how do you extract the learner into getting some enjoyment and getting them involved in the training. And that's the real key of an educator.
I think that's a fair point as well, Phil, because like academics, it can be quite an arduous task, can't it? So making it fun, making it consumable, making it relevant to learning styles we see with personal trainers. We're normally practical learners.
Absolutely.
So I think doing, your education in a practical environment just makes sense, doesn't it?
You've got to let them play. Yeah. If you sit down, there's a reason personal trainers are personal trainers, is they're not to sit down on a desk for 8 hours. You have to get them up on their feet. One of the great best courses with Life Fitness Hammer Strength ever was the Synergy unit. And we used to do synergy.
I remember the Synergy rigs, yeah.
So we did fundamentals in day 1, and then we did small group training in day 2. My style was, listen, you guys are trainers.
Yeah.
You know exercise. You know technique, movement. My job's there to make sure that you do those right and don't do anything crazy that might affect the group.
Yeah.
But I want you to explore your knowledge. So I just did put posters on the wall, and at the end of the fundamentals, we'd have like 180 different exercises for that Synergy rig.
Yeah.
Then I would say, right, guys, now let's go. Let's work on the skill for small group training is going to be your time per exercise, the time you've got allocated to the class, work rate, work rest ratio. And you pull all that together, and then you've got all 180 exercises. You just pick and choose the right ones, right?
Yeah.
Make it simple for them. And then all of a sudden, it's this like light bulb moment goes, actually, it's not that hard. Yeah. Then it's the performance. And
what a great environment. I remember the Synergy sessions, and they were so engaging, and all backed by science. But I think it's a fine art, isn't it, when you're an educator? Yeah.
And there's some. I mean, I've been at university and I've been lectured by lots of different educators, and some motivate me more than others. So let's leave
Yeah.
it like that.
Yeah, fair
You know,
enough.
and it is. It's their personality, their ability to read the room, read the learner.
Yeah.
What do they need to get out of this to be an enjoyable experience? Education should be enjoyable. It shouldn't be laborious. It should be enjoyable.
Yeah. It's brilliant. And it's good. I didn't know a lot about your background there, actually, Phil. So your passion for sport led to your passion for fitness.
Yeah.
Your passion for fitness led to a passion for education. And everything seems to have kind of evolved into a bit of an ecosystem over time.
Yeah.
Under your business brand.
Yeah, I mean, and the business shift to diabetes is I've always had the ability to face adversity. So I really was quite upset about not being able to succeed in my rugby journey, because I think everybody's journey, you're a Welshman, you would do it. What would you do to be sitting or standing with a red shirt on and the anthem being sang to you, right? I mean, it's everything, right, in that sport that you choose to play or whatever. So my journey was there. It was cut short. So you've got to find a way. I mean, and when in 2026, I had a Zimmer frame for a year.
Yeah.
And I was told by an orthopedic surgeon I wouldn't walk unaided again, ever, without sticks. I had a Zimmer frame for a year and then walking sticks for a year after that. I went to Chinese herbal medicine, and within 6 months I'd left my walking sticks. Within a year after that, I'd run the New York Marathon.
Really?
And
That's
to date, I've run best part of 64 marathons. In 2018, you know Doddy.
Yeah,
Weir.
Doddy
So
Weir,
Doddy
yeah.
was a good pal of mine.
Yeah.
I did 52 marathons in 2018 for his charity. That's one a week.
That's amazing.
So you've got to find the positive side of the negatives.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with shifting diabetes.
Yeah.
My job's to help people, trainers, to explore the market that is diabetes and go, I actually understand what this illness is, and I understand how I can help those people living with diabetes safe and effectively, because I can't do it myself. Therefore, I started, as I was saying to you pre-recording, you know, it was face-to-face learning, but only with going to a big trade show in Germany, people were like, wow, this could be really good for our industry.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I need to scale this up.
Yeah.
So then over the last 12 months, it's become an electronic platform. And we've got councils in Aberdeen and England, and we've got guys over in America looking that actually have taken the course and learned the course.
Yeah.
And it's a CPD, and you've got it there. It's easy.
Absolutely. And there's prevalence everywhere globally, and we'll come on to that, Phil.
Yeah.
I think let's look at your personal journey then, because like you're not the stereotypical person you put in that bracket of having type 2 diabetes.
No.
You're from a sporting background, you're keeping yourself in great nick, you're running Ironman, you're performing at a high level. And this is a really interesting point, because I've actually got some first-hand experience. I coach junior football and rugby outside of working. And what I've seen there is certain examples of children who've been diagnosed with diabetes, but they are super active.
Yeah.
They're fit. They're not obese. So, it's interesting
where
the journey's beginning for a lot of...
Well, absolutely. So traditionally, the juvenile illness is type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
Right. So that usually comes on before the sort of 12 to 15 years of age. That is type 1. So that's a genetic disposition. Generally, somebody in the family, mother or father, will have type 1 diabetes, and it will come, or it'll be miss a generation, whatever. So that response with those children, and it's hard. It's getting easier, but it's hard because when you're 10, 11, 12, you want to play with your mates. And if your bloods aren't working properly, your pancreas isn't delivering what it's meant to do, then you need the support of insulin, right? So if you're not able to manage insulin because of immaturity, which at that age it is, you need mum and dad to be able to help you support and manage it so you don't go into hypers or hypos and get yourself ill. So that's the general synopsis, is most young people with diabetes will fall into that 10% category of diabetics, which is type 1.
Okay.
And now we're unfortunately starting to see with the nutritional habits that the parents don't have the knowledge, or I'm not going to say care, because every parent cares for their kids to a certain degree, but it's the choice when the kid's not with the parent, and the availability. We've got a marketplace full of sweets, right? I've got a classic example of this. I'll talk about it later. One of my clients, but with kids, generally type 1 is young, but this age group, we're now seeing 15, 16-year-olds developing type 2 diabetes. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because type 2 diabetes is generally 30, 40, 45 onwards because of the body's ability to stop being at that high level of secretion of insulin.
Yeah.
But now, unfortunately, due to the availability of this product, which is sugar or refined carbohydrates, white foods, you'll know what it is. We all know as trainers, white rice, white bread, pastas, right? And it's all there. Processed food. Yeah. I mean, it's maybe about 10% of a supermarket is non-processed. The rest of it is processed. It's just insane. And we accept that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say with the prevalence with diabetes, the problem we've got is really the availability of not the best food options, but manage it as a kid. When it goes into, when I said it's getting easier, the new computer glucose monitor, glucose computer aid monitors that they've got, and they've got self-releasing insulin, means that you can put insulin in for 3 days. It could be tracked on a monitor, and it automatically pumps it in straight away. So it is becoming easier for the younger people to do that. But
for the purpose of awareness, they're the sort of the monitors you get in the back of your arm, aren't they?
So in the UK, NHS protocol is, if you're a type 1 diabetic, you will generally see the little GCM on the arm, because those are supplied through NHS. Okay, this new technology is a more expensive thing, but it's specifically for really type 1 diabetics. Yeah. However, if you're a type 2 diabetic, you don't get access to the insulin, your reader, okay, unless you're on insulin.
Yes.
If you reach the insulin stage where your body needs to have an insulin, then you'll have one. You get issued at one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you see, generally rule of thumb, if you see somebody with it, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be type 1 diabetic.
Yeah, makes sense. Insulin dependent. So the from your perspective then, so you're not in the typical category. How has type 2 diabetes landed at your door from your personal situation?
How's it landed at my door? Well, again, it goes back to this autoimmune illness. So I've got must have a genetic disposition for an autoimmune illness. So the psoriatic arthritis. So we've got people have got psoriasis on their skin. Generally, it's in soft, thinner areas of the body. Yeah. And it's when the skin grows 7 times faster in those edges, and you get little sort of, you can see it's like flaky little skin bits on the body. Of those, I think it's about 8 to 10% of people living with psoriasis will develop psoriatic arthritis.
Okay.
So this is an autoimmune illness. That autoimmune illness, it is believed that has caused, the autoimmune element of it has caused my beta cell production in my pancreas to not work as well as it should do. Yeah. Then pushing me into a higher glucose level for HbA1c, which is your hemoglobin attachment of your proteins onto the red blood cell. That's caused me the problem that it's slightly higher. Therefore, I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic.
And the screening process there, Phil. So you're just having regular screens. It's been diagnosed as type 2. Any symptoms that were associated with it?
Yeah, I mean that was the main thing. I was in the Sports Institute of Scotland over in Largs, on the west coast of Scotland, and I was delivering a 2-day education with Life Fitness. And the first day I noticed, I was just like, right, I need to go to the toilet. And I was generally, when you need to go to the loo, you can control it, and you go, right, okay, well, I'll go to the toilet in next break, or whatever, right? I was just like, no, I need to go to the toilet right now. So I'm standing in front of learners, and I'm thinking, I'm going to wet my pants here. I need to go to the loo. But it was just like continual. And then I was thirsty. I was drinking. And I noticed, I was just thinking, the following day, I couldn't drink enough water, and I couldn't stop going to the loo.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not normal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I spoke to a GP. They did the tests, standard tests, and within 3 months, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Wow.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Because the thing. So this is for the trainers, right? So this is one top bit. I live with this. I've been diagnosed with this, and I'm gonna maybe say a profanity, so I don't mean to offend anybody, but you think that you are a shit human when that doctor turns around to you and says you've got type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
You've failed your job as being a healthy, fit human being. It's awful. And I just thought, God, now I am a statistic. Now I am recognised as somebody that hasn't looked after themselves. But yet I had done all of this stuff in advance.
Yeah.
All this physical, professional, semi-professional sports person, understood, coached, being a personal trainer. Do you know,
Yeah.
I've done everything I needed. It ticked all the boxes to be a good guy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get smashed with this hammer that basically says, listen, you've been a really poor human being to yourself. It took me a long time to realise it wasn't my fault.
It's really, I appreciate your insight there, actually, Phil, because I think a lot of people, especially in our industry, would feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, but what it does tell you is that this doesn't discriminate.
Doesn't,
you know,
absolutely not.
It doesn't care about your background. This is an autoimmune.
For me, it is.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, there are people that don't care about how they look after their body.
Yeah, yeah.
But we as trainers have to accept that it's not one stereotypical model. This person is shit at looking after themselves.
Yeah.
We need to realise that there are other reasons that might be the case.
Yeah.
So I didn't mention it earlier. So I've got a client, right, and he trains 6 days a week, and he lifts weights, and he is strong as heck.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss a training session, right? He came back from HB1. He's pre-diabetic,
Right.
right? And he says to me, Phil, what do I do? And I says, we've got to lose some weight. So we've got to shed some of the excess body fat. He's still as strong as ever. He trains like a beast, right?
Yeah.
And then I was asking about his nutrition. The guy eats, and he didn't tell me this because people don't disclose, he eats a chocolate bar every night with a cup of tea.
Okay.
I says, well, you've got to stop that straight away. And that will probably, if we can get that and get 3 kilograms of weight off you, 4 kilograms, then you're going to be out of pre-diabetes into normal.
Yeah.
I says, or you can continue eating your chocolate, and as you start to age and get less capable of training and resistance training and lifting as much due to your aging process, and keep eating the nutrition, you're just going to grow substantially into that pre-diabetes, into type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be that statistic. Or you can choose not to. Now, in fact, lucky for him, he's got a guy that knows what he's talking about, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it works. And whether he chooses to listen to me or not, that's his choice.
Yeah.
But my job is to best practice treat him. So
Yeah. And personal trainers up and down the country will be faced with that reality as well.
Absolutely.
A client will be borderline or maybe going through the process of getting checked for diabetes, and we've got to be positioned as personal trainers to be able to support that journey and educate them correctly as well.
And the education gives knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the key. What we've talked about. This isn't CPDs or qualifications, whatever your education is. It's got to give you a knowledge so that you can transfer that knowledge in a practical application. And as trainers, our duty is to help somebody get from where they are to where they want to be safely and effectively, faster than they could do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's our job.
Yeah.
And if you get that and you hit all those pins, you've done your job well.
Yeah, yeah. No, 100%. And we've touched on this slightly already, Phil. So looking at the prevalence of diabetes in the UK and the association with poor foods, people not looking after their health and lifestyle, things of that nature, how big is the issue in the UK at the moment?
Well, I was looking at this on the plane just as we were coming down, just so I got up-to-date facts. So there's roughly about 5.5 million people living with diabetes in the UK. Of that 5.5 million, roughly about 10% are type 1 diabetes. And the other 90% are type 2 diabetes, which is avoidable
Yeah.
in I would say 95% of the cases.
Yeah.
Mine is that 5% anomaly.
Yeah.
Right? Where and lifestyle isn't really the factor.
Yeah.
It's more of just the genetics, disposition, or injury or whatever, right? So, but what's even crazier, so that's 1 in 16 of the population.
Yeah.
That actually are living with type 2 diabetes, right? What's crazier is there's another 5.5 million people living in the UK with pre-diabetes.
Right.
And that is the precursor into type 2 diabetes. So effectively we can say between pre-diabetes and full-on diabetes, there's 11 to 12 million people in the UK. Now, that's 1 in 5 of the population.
Yeah.
And when we talked about the potential for the trainer of today and the future to face diabetes, it's only getting bigger.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the GLP-1 effect later.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that, just from face value, it's a frightening statistic.
It's insane.
You could potentially, legitimately in 5 years have 10 million people in the UK diagnosed. If this pre-stage.
So globally, I'm going to say this will rock your boat. So globally, at the moment, now this is all before pre-world tensions.
Yeah.
Right, because this is all will have effect on global health as well. We're looking at 780 to 900 million people living in this world with diabetes.
That's mad.
Of that population, 90% is preventable.
Yeah. I was just going to come on to that. So preventable, 90%.
Yeah, if we actually knew what we were doing to ourselves.
Yeah.
And part of my face-to-face education, I can't deliver everything. The online stuff is very informative and fully there. But obviously, when you're doing face-to-face education, some nuggets come out of your head because you've my experience of learning and what
Yeah.
So it all kind of falls back to the early 80s.
Yeah.
Whenever we had a guy called Jimmy Carter, who was the peanut president in the States, took all the cattle off the fields and started making more arable. Whether he was corrupt or not, who knows?
Yeah.
American president that was corrupt, could you imagine? Anyway, the beef population then came into, so they started to farm their cattle. And you remember mad cow disease, you probably are old enough, where they used to these animals were walking around their own feces, and then they got ill. And they put the animals back in the farm, and all this corn that had been grown on the arable when the cattle weren't on the fields became a corn mountain. They turned that into corn syrup. Yeah, corn syrup became then a staple input into the diet in America, right? Which then made all these fantastic sugary buns and whipped cream and all the things that Americans eat. When you go to America, trying to eat healthily is hard, right?
It's hard, very difficult.
Right? Yeah. What was mentioning is so. When you're delivering the education, when it's face-to-face, you can come up with little nuggets and stuff. So when it comes to the evolution of the obesity epidemic, and then the epidemic of type 2 diabetes, which is prevalent more in the African-American population areas around America. Okay. It started off with the corn syrup thing. We were talking about the cattle were taken off the land, and then when the cattle were put back on to eat grass again, there was an overflow of syrup, of corn. Corn then became corn syrup. That was infused into all of American foods because it's a cheap carbohydrate to put in there, sugar-based. And then our McDonald's, our Burger Kings, our Wimpy's, our KFC, all of these things that breads and things then became more and more prevalent as we started to have fast food culture. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're having processed food full of corn syrups. Yeah. And corn syrups is massive for putting on excess body fat, and then development of obesity will become then type 2 diabetes. Because there's African American, African, Asian, Middle Eastern disposition genetically to be able to process your insulin levels rather than the sort of Western population, white Western population, then obesity has started to incline. we've then adopted over since the 80s this culture into the UK, into Europe,
of course,
and now it's going everywhere. And you go to the Middle East, and it's crazy. I mean, we were over in Dubai together, and you know, Saudi Arabia has got 23% of their population are living with type 2 diabetes. Wow. 23%.
Yeah, that's mad. Absolutely crazy. But when you strip it back, it's the perfect storm, isn't it?
It's the perfect storm.
For a diabetes epidemic, because you've got sedentary lifestyles.
Yep.
A lot of people work in, office-based, not very mobile. Lifestyle trends are not lending themselves well, especially in the younger audience as well. Yeah. Lots of gaming, things of that nature, coupled with
high processed availability.
Super processed foods, high sugar. Yeah. It's a perfect storm.
It really is. And one of the main phrases I use is physical activity literacy. Now, for you and I, physical activity is what we do. You do it on a daily basis. It's just part of our psyche, what we do. We grew up kicking a ball, throwing a ball on the street, having fun with our mates, just moving, physical activity, right? We didn't need to know why to move. We just moved because it was fun. Nowadays, people think it's a chore to go and move because they don't understand the why. So we need to understand the why of physical, and that's the lack of physical activity literacy has now is also a big problem. So when we are training people as a personal trainer, and everybody in your personal trainer, all your team, you need to sit in that forehead. Tell them why you're doing this. Not this is what I'd like you to do. This is why I'd like you to do this.
Yeah.
If we remember that, then that's the golden nugget.
Yeah. And that's the education cycle.
Absolutely.
That comes with a personal trainer. We are educators, aren't we, as PTs? But I think your whole business exists then, Phil, to empower personal trainers to be able to support their clients if they're dealing with diabetes, to put in place preventative measures from a diabetes perspective as well. What sort of practical tips can you share for coaches on the gym floor on a day-to-day basis, or even if you're doing online provision with your client as well, and they've announced to you that they're diabetic? What practical insights could you give coaches to support them?
Well, first and foremost, we need to know who our client is. So we need to ask, and this falls down to the basic level of level 3 and also level 2 gym instructor. Whenever you meet your client you're going to work with or you're communicating with, you need to ask them the questions about their health. The PAR-Q screening, right? That is important. So we can ask them at that point. And if we have the knowledge and the confidence to ask them, are you diabetic? Do you have any diabetes issues, pre-diabetes, whatever? Then you will be told then, because you've opened the open question, right? Now, you're not going to ask that question if you don't have the confidence to answer the question. So if somebody says, yeah, I'm type 2 diabetic, they're going to go, and you don't know anything about diabetes, you're walking into a corner. So this is where the education is important. So if we have the education, we can ask that question. So first and foremost, we need to know who we're training, why we're training. Then you need to ask them about how they have been for the last 24 hours. How have they been for the last week? How have they been the last month? Have they had any hypos? Have they had any incidents?
Yeah.
So we learn that knowledge, because if they've had a hypo, their body's been under a great deal of stress, and they may have paid for their PT session in advance, but is it our due diligence, our duty of care to make sure that we deliver that session, or do we need to give them a high five and say, let's go and have a cup of tea, let's talk about the training session, we'll do that next week, or we'll do that in a few days' time when your body's recovered, right? So you need to ask proper questions. When it comes to spotting, if somebody is potentially, if they are insulin dependent, and again, you're going to be asking them when you start the session and when during the session and after the session, where if they've got a monitor, we can do a reading and we can see quick flash check and see where their blood glucose. Nowadays, you can see with the monitors whether it's stable or it's going up or coming down. With this CPD education, you have an awareness of where the safe zones are to be able to work and where the safe starting zones are. But by asking the questions, how they've been overnight, have they had any food before they came? oh no, I didn't take any because I didn't want to take my insulin. Well, that means that if they haven't eaten the night before and they still haven't taken any food on board, they're going to be coming down low. So you've got to be prepared for that insulin to fall and go into a hypo.
Yeah.
So then you have to think about, okay, what about bringing a diabetes first aid kit or having that available? Now, I don't know how many times I've run up and down the gym to the fridge to get a bottle of Lucozade Sport because somebody's having a hypo. Not necessarily do I know if they're, or even they know they're pre-diabetic, but probably they're not far off it and they're having a hypo and I've got to get, or it could just be a simple case that they've not looked after themselves, or they've been out the night before, the blood sugar levels are low and they feel dreadful. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of variables, but the most important thing we can do is ask our client how they are and base that on their PAR-Q, the initial conversations about what they're... And the more we know, the more confidence we've got, the more easier it is to be able to pass on that information and have the confidence.
So like anything else then, really, you're seeking understanding,
Absolutely.
You're showing empathy, you're giving some guidance and support, and you know, showing the client that you understand the situation, and you're going to work with them.
And making sure that they feel comfortable. Yeah. Because you've got to build a relationship, right? If you don't feel comfortable, you're not coming back.
Absolutely.
You don't get a second chance.
And this might be a common misconception on diabetes. If someone is diabetic, can you turn the tide and can you make them not diabetic?
Yeah, okay, good question.
Yeah.
Right, so there has been studies in Newcastle, and the studies in Newcastle were under clinical trial, type 2 diabetic, and 80% of those people over a 12-week period on an 800-calorie diet, a daily diet, with controlled physical activity, right, reversed their type 2 diabetes. Yeah. Right? That's not real life.
Why?
Because it's a clinical trial. Because you and
you've selected a
well, you're also kept in an environment where you're told what to do for 12 weeks. Yeah. Right now, us normal people aren't in that box, and we don't have 12 weeks to be able to eat 800 calories, and we don't have somebody saying, right now you need to do this, and this, eat this, go to sleep, whatever, right? Yeah. So the clinical trials are one thing, and it shows that there is the ability to reverse this illness. There is. It's very difficult. So why I didn't call my company Reversing Diabetes, I called it Shifting Diabetes, is because I honestly believe that if you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it's, and this might sound controversial, and I don't want to nullify the impact of alcoholism, because it's a horrible illness being alcoholic, but the reality is once you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. Yeah. Right? Because you can go into being a sober alcoholic, but you're still an alcoholic and you haven't drank for 10 years and you've been sober for 10 years. That's brilliant. It's amazing, right? Same as diabetes. You can be type 2 diabetic, diagnosed type 2 diabetic. You're type 2 diabetic. Because if you get yourself and eat really well and are able to shift it into a safe, controlled place, if all of a sudden you stop and let go of your controls, you're going to fall back into being type 2 diabetic straight away, right?
Yeah, of course.
So can you... Yes, you can. It's hard, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Can you shift your diabetes into a healthier place so you can have a healthy, long longevity in life? That's where I've put myself. Yeah, I still have type 2 diabetes. Yeah, but I'm a healthiest version I can be. So I've shifted my diabetes from being high level into a control level. Yeah, right. Likewise, if you're pre-diabetic, you can shift that client to become non-diabetic, so they never become a diabetic. But if you're a type 2 diabetic, you can control and try and get you into a pre-diabetic state so that your body works better.
Absolutely. Okay. So
it's called shifting diabetes.
And it captures the kind of process beautifully. So the key takeaway that I'm getting there then, it is possible. Yes. It is possible to regress and move this thing backwards. But it might not be the answer. It might not be the long-term solution. The long-term solution is about understanding, working and living with it. Correct. And making sure that it doesn't go further. Correct. And I guess this always comes back to the prevention versus cure argument as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Always focusing on.
And these 5.5 million people in the UK that are living with pre-diabetes, if they all knew, because it doesn't show itself for about 10 years. There's no symptoms.
Okay.
Pre-diabetes. So they don't know, other than the fact they're going to be carrying weight.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the obese category.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we make sure that we support those people and share that knowledge, that we've got these phenomenal scales now, the body matrix stuff that shows us body composition, right?
Yeah.
If your visceral fat is high, right? If your adipose tissue, external body fat is high, and you're carrying too much body fat, which it clearly says, because it usually comes up in a big red line saying it's too high, well then that's your cue to say, right, okay, so if you continue this journey, as of today, you got more likely to develop type 2 diabetes because you're in the obese category. Because the machines told you this category, these things work for a reason. They're scientifically tested. But we can change today, and in 3 or 4 or 6 months' time, your body fat can be reduced if we train properly and effectively and start to move the right way. We can reduce you from your potential of becoming type 2 diabetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got the tools. It's about having the confidence.
And I honestly don't believe we see enough of this early screening.
We don't.
Going on in gyms up and down the country, because that was a staple, back in the day.
We used to do skin fold testing.
Yeah,
that was part of level 3 PT.
Yeah, and
it was massive.
And even and everyone will have their argument on how accurate certain scales are, things of that nature. But the fact that you're measuring it gives you a starting point. It gives you an understanding of where visceral fat might be and things of that nature.
As you know, I still am involved in delivering face-to-face personal training.
Yeah.
So I keep my hand in it. It's very important to keep myself in the coalface.
Yeah.
And so often I get told, are these things accurate?
Yeah.
And I says, even if they're not accurate to half a kilogram, you're not an Olympic athlete. That doesn't make any difference. If you were an Olympic athlete, that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
I says, these are indicators. This is an indicator we can use. So you have to realize what you've been told is as accurate as you need it to be, and I need it to be able to give you the advice to help you be where you need to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really that simple.
100%. And I love that about you, Phil, the fact that you're still practicing as a personal trainer. You're authentic. Yeah. In your delivery, you understand what PTs are dealing with in this day and age. Yeah. From a member facing perspective as well. And I guess that largely when you look at shifting diabetes and where you are as an entity now, what is the big mission? Where do you?
Where's the goal?
How big do you see this impact being on a global level? So, like you said earlier, we've spent time together in the Middle East. You understand the demographics of different population types and the struggles that different areas are having at the moment. How big can you see this getting?
So, in our industry, the big buzzword now is health. So we're trying in the fitness sector, we're trying to transition from being image-based to health-based.
Yeah.
Right? You agree with me? That's the big thing that we're talking about and have been for the last couple of years. So how I envisage is shifting diabetes is to be one of the cogs in the system that brings health into this. And I call it a vanity project. I think exercise, there's so much body image still involved in being fit and healthy. And I've got a 17-year-old kid who's motivated by guys in the gym that are on steroids and they're bulky and they're big and they've chosen that journey. And I'm like, dude, that's just not health.
Yeah.
That's image-based, right? So we need to get away from the image-based. So with the health sector, what we are trying to do, everybody wants to be involved in health change.
Yeah.
But so very few people have the ability to, or locations in local authorities or gym groups or whatever, because they don't know how to bridge that gap. Because we live in the UK, we've got NHS, we think health should be supported by NHS. Could we bridge NHS with the fitness industry?
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. The NHS can't do what they're doing for themselves, let alone say, oh, well, let's help the fitness sector. What we can do And this is the argument I had with my professor when I applied to do my master's degree. He said, Phil, you don't have a degree and you don't have a science degree. And I said, yeah, but look at my certificates on education in physical activity. Can you take that into consideration? And I became the first non-scientific, ordinary degree person on a master's degree with doctors, chemists, physios, and podiatrists. And I was the only one. Because we have to take it to them. And with this, my journey with Shifting Diabetes is to empower us trainers with the ability to be able to help change health.
Yeah.
Right? And if we can do that by just looking at diabetes as a illness, I mean, there's loads of illness, we know that. Yeah. But in my perspective, if we can help that, if we can get my honesty, I would love every single trainer to have a diabetes CPD awareness attached to every single level 3 qualification that goes out across the UK and across the globe. Because, as I said before, there's nearly 800 million people going to be living with this.
It makes sense. Just a lot of averages.
Why would you not? Why have bolted on a boot camp CPD when you're selling your level 3 qualification? Yeah. Make it something that we can have the confidence to let these phenomenal people that are going to be greater than us, that are going to come through the system and create their own journeys and their own businesses and help people with the right reason. Give them the tools from the get-go and say, listen, there's a population here, guys. It's in the UK, 12 million people. And we haven't even talked about the financial aspect of that, how that can benefit our industry as well, right? So, I honestly, I think that personally, greedy, no, I want to leave a legacy that says, you know what, I actually helped the diabetic population to be better by helping our trainers to have a little bit of education to give them the confidence to do it safely. Yeah,
absolutely. And it feels like you're on a mission. And we're proud to be part of that as well, Phil. You know, with our network of personal trainers, we endorse gold standard, and you cannot lose sight of the fact of the effect this is having on society at the moment as well. It's so crazy. The chances are every PT graduating, they're going to come in contact with somebody with diabetes. Exactly. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you want to professionalize this to a degree as well, where you are recognizing people who are qualified in diabetes. And how are you going to do that?
So when you complete the course, you get a disclaimer. First of all, the disclaimer acknowledges that you've learned, but you're not a specialist. And I got beaten around the head by my professor doing my master's degree. And he says, until you get your master's degree, he says, you're not efficient at being a diabetic specialist.
Right.
He says, when you get your PhD and become a doctor, then you're a specialist. I'm like, oh, goodness me. Put on. So that's the journey. So what I'm trying to do is, we don't need to be specialists. We need to have a really good base knowledge, and that's what the learning is.
Of course.
Okay, so if we can get that through, then that really helps.
Yeah.
I think that having once you get your CPD, you get your due diligence, that tells you, you get your disclaimer, that tells you, just reinforces that the knowledge you've been given is scientific, it's factual, it's evidence-based, but you're not able to diagnose the illness. What you can do is you can recognize symptoms. You can then suggest to that learner or the client that they need to go. I suggest go and see your doctor, get a blood test done. Right. So that's all that. So that's the due diligence. Then they get their certificate to say they've done the course, to get their points, and then they also get a badge. That badge is what they can use to market themselves, and it's a diabetic aware trainer. Badge. Perfect. And that's accredited. So that diabetic aware badge has got the Shifting Diabetes logo on it, and then they can use that anywhere they wish. They can. I'm sure that there's a transparent version of it, so that they can attach it, overlay it onto their images in the gym if they advertise with a picture in the gym or social media. And a lot of the guys have put as soon as they get the course, they put the badge up, and then they start to market themselves as a diabetic aware trainer.
Brilliant.
But what's better than that is if all the trainers in that location are diabetic aware trainers, then the location can apply for a diabetic aware location.
Okay.
Right? So that allows the location, the owner of the gym or the facility, to market their catchment place and say, all of our trainers are diabetic aware. That will allow those people that are living with diabetes to have the confidence to come and do the physical activity that they've been told that they should be doing by their GP.
Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. But is there a plan then, Phil, for the public to access a portal or a map to see where their nearest centre is? Yeah.
So that's something that I was going to, we were hopefully going to talk about a wee bit later, because ideally, with your personal trainer, we've got how many
600 PTs.
600 PTs now. So if we can pinpoint on our map, and we can then put the location and put the little badge beside those trainers, then we can actually then allow that and market that out.
Yeah.
So that we can then...
We'll support and work on that. So the long and short is, we're raising the awareness of where members of the public who are dealing with diabetes can go and work with a professional who is well versed and educated in this area.
An exercise professional that has an awareness of what diabetes is, how it works.
Fantastic. So there's going to be digital badges, there's going to be physical badges to show that they're gold standard.
We can develop physical badges. Yeah. There's geographical potential. We have to work out how to get it to you guys so that you can then distribute that to the learners whenever they complete. I will work out that, but the digital badge is what they get instantly. Yeah. So everything's digital now.
Yeah, absolutely. And
do your team? There's a question. Do your team wear the name badges as well as their logo?
Everything's branded, so there's no name badges.
So there's no name badges.
You've got your personal training and Castor and Applied on the breast of the tops, but. There is opportunity to have pins, I guess.
Yeah, I've got pins already created.
Yeah.
I think you saw them in Dubai, didn't you?
And we're constantly supporting personal trainers to differentiate, to have a unique selling point, or to be dominant in a specialist area. This presents a great commercial opportunity, I would suggest, Phil, for personal trainers to show that they offer a diverse range of products and solutions to the end user. So what could that look like for PT?
Well, so if we go back to where we were, one in five of the population are either pre-diabetes or diabetes. All of a sudden, there's a marketplace there that are untapped. Yeah. Right, so you got to say that there are people that are living with pre-diabetes that do train in the gym, like one of my clients, as talked about earlier. But that's not the majority, that's the minority. The reality is that if you as a trainer market yourself as a diabetic aware trainer, or you work with diabetic population, if you, with your socials, et cetera, you're going to be drawing in this base group that you haven't had access to. Because having somebody living with diabetes, but yet having the exercise professionalism and experience of physical activity, like, I'm not scared of going into a gym and smashing myself up, because I know what to expect and when to expect it if I do so. Mm-hmm. But for those people that don't have the physical activity literacy, we can help teach and train. And that's where the marketplace is. So you can actually set your stall up that now, rather than just delivering exercise to the fit, well, healthy people that go to the gym regularly and want their backsides kicked a bit harder, right? We can actually now start to go down the avenue of bringing a marketplace in that isn't there, and bringing that into your business. And if you're able to do that and spread the word, particularly if you've got your facility in a localized area, and that facility markets the trainers within, all of a sudden you go from 10, 15 clients to 20 to 25 clients, and you can do it confidently.
Yeah. 100%. And for me, I think what this outlet allows us to do as a sector is access the hard to reach in the community as well. So this isn't your stereotypical gym user who's comfortable, they know their way around a gym facility. This is potentially someone who's sitting at home petrified because they've been given a diagnosis.
And they don't know what to do.
Exactly, 100%. And to have that ability to say, listen, come into the facility, we're going to look after you. We've got professionals on site who are well-versed and educated in this area, and we're going to make the first step.
It's massive, right?
Yes.
And if we can get
life-changing.
that facility to market to their GP surgeries, right? Then all of a sudden these GP surgeries go, listen, you're pre-diabetic state or you're being diagnosed with diabetes. It says that you need to go to your local facility there. Those guys actually are all trained.
Absolutely. Are there any working examples of that, Phil? Have you come across that in the UK where a personal trainer is working with their local health boards or CCG as it is in England?
My local GP surgery.
Yeah.
Lets people know about me because of what I'm doing, and they know my history. So people that are diagnosed in my GP surgery, they do come towards me and they suggest that I should go and have a chat with this person, Phil Calvert. I've put a proposal together for Lincolnshire, Active Lincolnshire.
Yeah,
there's a big part of council, and I don't want to overstep what I'm going to say, but we're looking potentially there to create master trainers, and those master trainers go out and actually deliver knowledge to the elements of physical activity. You and I know that 18% of the population go to gyms, of the active population. Yeah. It's not massive. Mm-hmm. But some people do bowls, some people play darts, some people do rock climbing, whatever, right? And that's their thing, and that's cool as long as they do physical. But so what the proposal is potentially is that these master trainers would go to those clubs and just give a small seminar about diabetes and awareness, and say, listen, if you need it and you need any support, we are here.
Yeah,
come and see us. So I mean that's a model, and I'm speaking to an individual over in Northern Ireland and one of the councils over there to replicate that as well.
Yeah,
we've got the council down in the Borders, we've got Aberdeen Sport, we've got Edinburgh Leisure we're talking to that are understanding that this CPD is important to have in place.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you've done the groundwork now, Phil, and it's about implementing the strategy and getting a network of competent coaches supporting the
That's it. I mean, and the thing is, I can't do it all myself.
Yeah.
But what I can do is we can access it because it's an online learning delivery.
Yeah.
We can get lots of trainers efficient, but there definitely is a role in the future for people to work with me as practitioners, right? Which is the next level. So you will become a diabetic aware trainer, and then you'll become a diabetic aware practitioner.
Yeah.
And when I say practitioner, in the next few months, we should be releasing a level 3 qualification in diabetes.
Okay.
That I've been working on.
Fantastic.
When you get that level 3 qualification in diabetes through shifting diabetes, then I will put you into that practitioner situation where you really do know your onions.
Yeah.
And then I'll be asking of you if you would be interested in working alongside us to send this out.
Yeah. So there's a hierarchy, there's a stepping stone to the education associated with shifting diabetes.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to get a lot of success. Your PT trainer network have got a thirst for knowledge, and the trainers that we work with up and down the country, they're on top of their game. So this is just another.
I've met plenty of them. They know their stuff, and they're passionate about learning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the key. I mean, obviously, that's massive credit to your personal trainer, you guys, because you lead from the top, right? And you understand education.
Yeah.
There are other providers out there that maybe don't have as much passion for education, and therefore the learners, the team don't have as much.
It's got to be lifelong, and you've been a walking billboard for that, Phil, over the years. We're coming to the end of the podcast, believe it or not.
Oh, well, that was quick.
We've flown through it, but one of the topics, Phil, we always finish on is giving the last word to the guest. And you've got a wealth of experience in the sector. You've walked in the shoes of personal trainers. You've been an educator. You've been in various different operations. As a practicing PT as well.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, next 10 years, the landscape of PT. Where do you think we're going as an industry and the profession of personal training? Where do you think it's going to land in the next 10 years?
I think that personal training as a career is going to be more concentrated solely on those that adapt into learning. I think learning is the key. Learning and education is the key. Those people that adapt and understand, as I said before, you get luckier with the more knowledge you have.
Yeah.
Because you know where to place yourself. And I think that in our industry, it'll always be an industry where people put their foot in and then they jump out again because they realize it is not an easy gig. To be a professional, to be able to put a mortgage onto your name as a personal trainer, you've got to be dedicated. You've got to be able to focus on and have a passion for helping people, right? As a group of people now, how can we help people more? Is by learning. I think the industry, I really would love the industry to value, I would love the industry to value personal trainers with a little bit more respect, rather than potentially it's just a footfall system where let's just get another personal trainer and let's get another person. So as you guys are doing brilliantly, you nurture your team. You give them the opportunity to learn. You give them the opportunity to express. You listen to them. But there's lots of our industry that just, it's a conveyor belt. It's just it's a body. And I suppose in most industries you'll have that to a certain degree, but we need to cherish and nurture those people that are passionate about what we do. And there's lots of the guys out there that are very passionate about what they do and take great respect in themselves of how they deliver themselves. And I think that small niche of people, that the cream, I don't really say that's the cream as in they're not maybe necessarily the best, but they're the ones that apply themselves the most to be able to offer the best that they can offer. Those are the people that we just need to keep hold of, because as soon as we lose, I suppose you could equate to it like an army. As soon as you lose that experience at the top, the experience below doesn't have the ability to learn from those guys at the top. And because of the economic situation, you'll remember when there was gym hosts in gyms, there were level 2 instructors that would speak to the members and they would say, go and speak to Phil, he's the diabetes guy or whatever, right? That's been stripped away because of economy, right? So now the PT has to do all of that stuff themselves and they're expected to do all that stuff themselves. They're not always skilled to be able to do that. So we can lose some really cool people by just putting too much pressure on them at the beginning. So as and I'm going to say I'm an old guy in the game. As an old person in the game, my job is to try and help those young people go, right, let's make it easy. How can we make it easier for them to succeed? And if we can do that, then we're going to have a greater knowledge base, a greater concentration of good PTs. Right. But that top percentage of people, they're the key. We have to nurture them. We have to nurture them, because if we don't have the generals, you don't have an army.
I like that. And I think that's a fair reflection of where we're going to end up as a sector. And you're right, Phil. I think the industry's changed so much over the last 15 years. Fitness instructors are few and far between now. So maybe the personal trainers who are happy with mediocre, they probably serve that, in the future.
It's a diluted version, right?
Yeah, but they will become more of a hierarchy then of personal trainer who might be more of a kind of a precision coach. They deal with a specialist population. They analyse data.
Well, I mean, that's it, isn't it? And we talk about longevity. That's the key. That's health and longevity. So what is longevity? I was at a lecture given by Sir Chris Whitty last year at Howard University, and when it comes to longevity, what we're really looking at is the quality of life up until the stage where you need support in the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're 25, and this is part of what I do when I'm doing face-to-face education, thinking about populations within the gym floor, you think about an arc like a half crescent. So the first half, if you go straight up there, the first half of life is 10, 20, 30, 40, and 40's in the middle. 80's at the end, right?
Yeah.
So between 0 and 10, and between 70 and 80, generally, you need somebody to make sure you've got food. You need to make sure somebody wipes your backside. You make sure you've got clothes. Make sure you've got safety. It's the same as 0 to 10 and 70 to 80, right?
Yeah.
So as that spectrum of life, that half-life is, at 20, you're just looking up. You don't even see the other side of the crescent because you don't see the future. You just look at this beautiful blue sky that basically says, I can do what I want, I can take what I want, I can mess about all I want because I am going to live forever. Once you hit 40 or potentially have family where you need to become more responsibility, all of a sudden you get that tipping point. You're like, oh, that's 40 and in 40 years time I'm going to be 80. And then you go to 80 and 40 into 50 and then you're starting to look down the hill. And that's your longevity window. So once you hit that half-life, that's your longevity. And what we want to do is try and be as physically able for as long as possible in that half-life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's the holy grail of being physically fit, physically active. And if we continue, I've got mates back home that I played rugby with, and I'm not going to mention their names, but like they look like they've lived twice as long as me.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and they give me slack. They give me a lot of flack. Sorry, not slack. They give me a lot of flack for being fit, healthy, and they give me the old abuse. You know, like, what do you mean you're not having a pint tonight? I said, well, I don't drink very much because it's not good for me. I don't smoke, and I move a lot. And if you'd done the same for the last 30 years, you probably look like me. But you haven't.
Yeah.
Right? And it's longevity. So if there is good fortune in this world, I should actually have a longer longevity of health rather than a longer life.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's no cheat in the system.
There's no cheat in the system.
I can guarantee the friends you're talking to there are front five.
They're big lads. They're big lads.
They're big lads.
They're a bit greyer than they used to look.
And I think the whole overarching message from today, Phil, and it's come across in abundance from everything you said, from your own personal journey to the examples you've given. If you dedicate yourself to health and fitness, it puts you in the best possible condition to deal with any adversity as well.
Absolutely.
So if you do get dealt the diabetes card, if you do get dealt, an illness or disease card, you're in the best physical shape to counteract and take it on, 100%. Well, Phil, thank you so much for being here today.
It's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
What a great discussion. And this is going to serve as a perfect launch platform as well.
Yeah.
To get off to a great start with our collaboration at Your PT.
Well, I've given you as best a deal as I can. So the guys are getting the course for 50% with what we've worked out together. So it's a couple of rounds in the bar if that's your thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's take it on board. Let's do our best to help that population that desperately need our help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if the team can help me, and I'm, as I've said to you before, I will be available to talk with the team or meet with the team and across the UK, turn up places and speak to them, and if they want firsthand, people can get in touch with me.
You're going to need to do that, absolutely. We'll be rolling you out at Level Up and all that sort of stuff, Phil.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
No, listen, thank you so much for taking the trip. This has been massively insightful, and we're really excited about what the future holds between Your PT and Shifting Diabetes.
It's been an honour. Thank you so much.
You're a legend.
Cool. Thank you.
Phil, class, mate.